Hey, it's Kelly and thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be going over Hoya fitchii, an amazing Hoya because of its small leaves, the huge amount of veining in each of the leaves. They're pretty small and it's just a damn cute plant. Probably one of my favorite Hoyas in my collection just because of the size of the leaves and how freaking cute all of them are. So here's what I've been able to find out about Hoya fitchii so far. It seems that it was only discovered in 2009. It was named for the guy who discovered it, Charles Marden Fitch. I've seen some places say Charles Marsden Fitch, and I don't think that's correct. It's Marden, not Marsden, because I looked up his book and that's the way they spell his name. But it was also discovered in the Philippines. My first two Hoyas are from the Philippines, it seems. So that's a very cool place, I guess, for Hoyas. This Hoya, even though it's recently discovered, has been in circulation for a while, so it was more uncommon a few years ago, but now when I research it, it seems a lot of people have it. It's still pretty expensive, but it's worth it. In fact, I'm propagating cuttings myself. This plant is a pretty slow grower. I got my original cutting of 1 or 2 leaves in 2017, and I've been growing it out since then. So this plant is several years old, but I have been cutting a lot of the tendrils off to make rooted cuttings because I'm going to fill up the pot and get a very nice hanging basket out of it. It has also flowered for me. So I kept some of the spurs and some of the peduncles on the plant. I'm just trying to show you if I can find one, but it eludes me. But so when you're making cuttings, you make sure that you leave the spur and the peduncle because a Hoya will always flower again and again on that spur and peduncle. As the plant grows, it's also going to create more and more of those. So eventually the Hoya, the more it cascades, the more of those flower bundles you're gonna get. The flowers on this Hoya are going to be, they range from yellow to orange to pearlescent color. When I smelled it, it didn't have a fragrance. And so this is how I care for this beautiful Hoya. To get this amount of growth and to get it to be healthy, I found that in my condition, and it's weird, I've seen Hoyas in very different conditions do better or worse. So even though I'm about to tell you the condition that I grow this in, it may not work for you. It seems like even though everyone blanket statements of Hoya, it's really going to depend on your light, how much water it gets, how much fertilizer, all these different things. So I'm just telling you my experience, but yours could be different. The place where I grow this is the greenhouse. The reason is this one, even though it's an easy grower, has not liked a sudden change in temperature. Like some of my Hoyas actually seem to do better outside than they do in the greenhouse, which is weird. But this one, I keep in the greenhouse and it loves high humidity. It also really liked being in a more shaded, cooler spot in the greenhouse that got a lot of water. I used to have the leaves be very dark because that's what I thought looked best. Then I moved it to a little bit more light in the greenhouse, and it really took off in growth, but the dark green leaves are now turning kind of pale, where you can still see the veins, but when they were really dark green, that's when the veins were most pronounced. That's also when it grew the most out of all the times I had it in the greenhouse, when it was a little bit more shaded. But I don't think it's gonna bloom in the shaded area because it only bloomed when I had it in the lit area. So with some Hoyas, it seems like the amount of sun that they get definitely is gonna affect their growth. So this grew faster in lower light, but then stopped growing in higher light and got ready to bloom. So for this guy, I'm going to move it around in the greenhouse until I find the right spot for it. A lot of people have said they thought that this Hoya was a fast grower, but in my opinion, it's a moderate to slow grower. This Hoya didn't do much when I first started to root it. In the first year or so, it was pretty slow. So it was really developing a good root system. Then after that root system developed, the Hoya really decided to take off. And that was pretty cool because once it started to grow, it does grow much faster. But it seems to be one of those where it wants a really good root system and then it's going to put out all these lovely tendrils. One of the common things that can happen while growing something in the greenhouse with the misting system is hard water buildup. So our water where I live is very mineral rich. So when a fine particulate mist goes onto plants, it will leave hard water spots, and it's super annoying because these leaves, I mean, how do you want to ignore the beauty of those leaves? I've already cleaned some of them off. What we're gonna do today is take a look at a leaf like that. If the camera will focus. Has a lot of hard water buildup. So what we're gonna do, there are many methods. I'm just gonna tell you about one so I can be kind of quick about what we're doing. Different Hoya leaves will require different types of cleaning. The fuzzier leaves, I think I would use more of a water, something acid, and then soap. For this one, because there's no hairs on the leaves whatsoever, I'm going to use straight lemon juice. So in this bowl, I just cut a lemon, squeezed it with a little bit of the pulp, so it's 100% lemon juice. So what you're gonna do is just dip a white rag into the lemon juice and rub that leaf very gently. Probably gonna have to do it a few times because in my experience, 1 time we'll get some off, 2 times we'll get almost all of it off. By 3 times, it's probably gonna be pretty good. That was 1, go again. That's 2. And so I keep switching the towel because I want the towel to be a different part where if I did pick up mineral deposits because the lemon juice is helping soften and take those off, then I want to move the towel so that those mineral deposits are on another part and I can take off more. Now with that being said, I'm gonna take a 2-second break and I'm gonna go wash this leaf off because after you're done, I wouldn't leave pure lemon juice on your leaf because there's a chance it may burn the leaf, but I haven't experienced that yet, but that's because I'm always safe and I go and I wash off the leaf. So let's see what this bad boy looks like in just a second. All right, so we're back and let me see if I can get a close-up of this leaf now. It is so much shinier and nicer than it was before and all the hard water buildup is gone. Now it's kind of matching some of the other leaves that I did last night when I was cleaning this off for the video. There's still a few that I need to go and get. Let me see, I'll do this one for you guys as well because that has a lot of hard water buildup. I'm going to do the same thing. I am going to take this leaf, washa, 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 washa. That's 2, that's 3. And what this will do is it also helps the plant photosynthesize a little bit better. The mineral buildup, while not being too harmful, once it's on every leaf and if it gets to be quite a bit, it can affect the photosynthesis and nutrient uptake of the leaf. Better to keep them as clean as you can. I mean, I don't go overboard. I probably do this once every other year or so to each Hoya. But they don't all get misted, so they don't all develop this issue. This one, like I said, just loves the misting in the greenhouse, so that's why it has hard water. All right, let's go wash this off and I'll show you in just a minute what it looks like. All right, so we're back. We've washed it off and this is now what the leaf looks like. It is shiny, got right there. Nice, healthy, no hard water spots. So even though it is time consuming, it's worth it because when you have a Hoya as beautiful and as still uncommon like this, you want to treat it right. This one, I fertilize twice a year. I should probably fertilize it more to get it to grow a little bit more, but it's in the same potting mix I have everything else in. Cocoa fiber, perlite, vermiculite, a 1-to-1 ratio, and then I use organic fertilizer on it. I did have a problem with aphids on this plant, so in another video I will talk about what I do to keep aphids off all of my plants. But with that method, it definitely needs to be in a greenhouse because there are organic and inorganic ways to do it. I'll discuss in that video what I do. This used to be riddled with aphids and now there's not a single bug on it. It is disease-free. It only took about 3 days for it to go into effect. And now my entire greenhouse, every single Hoya doesn't have any bugs on them. So here's another close-up, Hoya fitchii. This is the second Hoya in my series, and yes, it also has veiny leaves, but they're much smaller than Hoya morillii that I did. This one I just think is so awesome with the way that it vines everywhere. It's going to be push, push everywhere. So I'm gonna let this cascade down. I'm not going to put it on a trellis. For me, I noticed that sometimes when you trellis it or you cascade it and the branch just bends ever so slightly, that helps induce blossom. Fruit trees are kind of the same way. When there's just the slightest damage to the cambium, that stress, and this doesn't necessarily have cambium per se, but when that stress happens, there can be a signal to the plant that says, holy crap, I need a bloom. I don't do anything, I just let it naturally fall, and I've noticed that that's when the plant really starts to shoot out the peduncles and the spurs. Thanks for joining me on this video for Hoya fitchii, one of the favorite Hoyas in the collection right now just because of the leaf shape, the veins in it, and just how freaking cute the plant is in general. When you hang this bad boy, it's gonna be so awesome when it's in bloom. And when it's not in bloom, it's also very cool. Join me next time. We're going to be covering a different Hoya in each of the videos, and I can't wait for you guys to see what I choose next to do a video about. All right, thanks.